Alright, so let's talk about something that I know a lot of you have been wondering about lately. What's actually coming in the next Blue Lock Rivals update? Now, some of you might be thinking that the next update is going to be NEL Nagi. And honestly, I get it. It makes sense at first glance. But unfortunately, I've got to burst that bubble. Because NEL Nagi isn't dropping next week. Like I've said before in previous videos, the official release date for NEL Nagi is July 19th. That's not a guess, by the way. That's straight from the official Blue Lock Rivals in-game menu. So yeah, we've still got 2 weeks until NEL Nagi makes his debut. Which means next week's update has to be something else entirely, and that's where things start to get interesting. I've actually gathered a bunch of information from multiple sources. The official Discord, the in-game menus, recent polls, even bits and pieces from my own videos. Basically, anywhere I could find solid leads or potential hints. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what we might expect. From the most likely QOL, quality of life changes, like small buffs and nerfs, all the way to potential full-on reworks for long-awaited characters like Yukamia or Shidou. Before we dive into it though, quick reminder, we're super close to hitting 20,000 subscribers, and I'd honestly be so grateful if you helped me get there. Alright, let's jump into the possibilities. So first things first, there's a new tab in the game specifically set aside for the upcoming update. It just went live today, but there's really nothing in it aside from the date. July 12th. That's it. No teasers, no leaks, just the date. So naturally, we head over to the best source for this kind of stuff. The official Discord. Specifically, the Number Polls channel. And as a lot of us already know, those polls often end up becoming real features in the game. Not always, but more often than not. Let's look at the latest poll. It's about the lobby. They asked us which one we prefer, the old or the new version. This kind of question usually hints at QOL updates, especially UI or design improvements. So that's already one clue that next week's update might be more about quality of life than big content drops. Now, moving on, the next poll is about the next cosmetic skin after the upcoming McNagi one. This time, they're asking if people want a Maid Baru skin. But again, if we go by the schedule, McNagi is coming after NEL Nagi, which is already 2 weeks away. So, Maid Baru? That's probably a month or more out. Not super relevant to next week's update. Next poll. This one's a bit more gameplay focused. It's about removing guaranteed air traps from all characters except Nagi and any one-time use awakened air trap moves. For example, moves like Aiku's Territory or Periscope might get changed. That's another sign we're leaning toward a QOL update focused on rebalancing the game. Then we get an even bigger hint. One poll asked, what should we tackle next to improve your experience? And the winning answer was, balancing old styles and flow abilities, which sounds a lot like the kind of update where we might get minor reworks or visual refreshes. That brings us to the next few polls that really start to build up the hype. There was a poll asking what character we'd want to see reworked or refreshed from the Miro team, and the winner was NEL Rin. And let's be honest, NEL Rin definitely has some visual flaws. His animations aren't the most polished, and his awakened moves could use more flair. I mean, they literally show a monster hand grabbing him, which, sure, fits his manga vibe loosely, but it just doesn't quite land. So personally, I think this means we might get an animation refresh. Not a full rework, not even new mechanics. Just better visuals, smoother effects, and a more polished presentation like they did with King a couple updates ago. That's a really likely outcome. Next up, and this one's juicy, there was a poll for which older characters should be reworked or refreshed. Yukimiya had 20,000 to 25,000 votes, like he was winning by a landslide. Then suddenly those votes disappeared. Even Kura called it out in the server, asking where the Yukimiya votes went. So yeah, that's sus. But it also kind of confirms that a lot of players want Yukimiya reworked. And let's be real, Yukimiya used to be one of the best styles in the game during Prime BLR. Now, he's widely considered the weakest mythic. So if the devs are listening, and it looks like they are, this might be the moment where Yukimiya finally gets the upgrade he deserves. And yeah, I know some of you are thinking about Shidou too. There's hope there as well. In a recent Q&A poll, one of the devs from Team Miro actually confirmed that Shidou is getting a rework. And it's coming with a surprise. I've said this before, but I still believe that surprise might be Charles. Maybe as a chem reaction partner, maybe something else. But my guess, if we're getting Shidou reworked, it'll either happen before Charles drops or at the same time. Alright, so to wrap this all up in a more detailed way, based on everything we've seen, here are the 3 most likely directions next week's update might take. First, we could be getting a QOL, quality of life update. This would probably include balancing changes like nerfing Aiku's overused defensive traps and buffing things like Kaiser's strike speed to make him a bit more competitive again. It might not seem flashy, but these updates help the game feel smoother and fairer, especially for ranked. Second, there's a very real chance that we see an animation refresh for NEL Rin. Not a full gameplay rework, but something that cleans up his visuals, making his awakened animations feel sharper, more in line with his manga personality, and overall more satisfying. Think of it like what they did with King's update recently. Same moves, better look. And third, this one's big. A complete rework for Yukimiya. Out of all the polls, the call for Yukimiya's rework was the loudest. He went from being a fan favorite and one of the best mythics to barely being picked. If this is finally his time to shine again, we might see not just buffs, but a full overhaul to bring him back into the spotlight. And let's be honest, he deserves it. So yeah, those are the 3 most likely directions things could go. A solid QOL update, an animation refresh for NEL Rin, or a full-on Yukimiya rework. Each one would bring something different to the table. And honestly, all 3 would be huge steps in the right direction for the game. But now I really want to hear from you guys. What do you personally want to see most in this next update? Are you all in on a cleaner, more polished Rin with smoother awakened animations? Do you want to see Yukimiya finally return to the spotlight after being left behind for so long? Or are you hoping for better balance and game feel through a QOL patch? Especially if it means less dominance from overpowered traps and more love for underused styles. Let me know in the comments below. I always read what you guys write, and your takes honestly help me figure out what to dive into next. Your support keeps this whole thing going. And speaking of support, if you're still watching and haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do. We're so close to 20,000, and it would mean the world to celebrate that milestone with you all. Oh, and one more thing before I go, I'm also really curious to know how you guys feel about the current state of updates overall. Do you think the game's been getting better lately? Are you feeling more excited with each patch? And of course, if you have your own update ideas, drop them down below too. I'd love to see what kind of concepts the community's thinking about. Thanks a ton for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully with some exciting patch notes to break down.